Hey, thanks for making time this morning. You were just joking with me here off air. This is the first time since about 10 years ago the entire family was together over the holiday.
Yeah, a little bit. Obviously, 2016 wasn't a good time to have a Christmas either, but just with bowl games and playoff runs and stuff like that, just always Christmas been a little bit more broken.
So I got to ask here, the game on Monday night, did you watch? Or could you watch? Or like, nah, it's too close to it?
I was kind of back and forth. I kind of had it on. I was hanging out with my sister, so she, of course, didn't want to watch any more football. So she's like, we're kind of flipping it back and forth. But enough to watch the end of it. I mean, it was a heck of an ending and obviously a really good game on Monday.
You obviously saw both teams up close. How different was that Montana State team from what you guys saw last year? Quarterback obviously major difference there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit different just from not knowing the names that have been there for 4 or 5 years, I guess, is probably the biggest difference. But really, crossover tape, the only time we watched them was against South Dakota State. Was kind of the only time. So I probably don't have as good of a feel as obviously Illinois State, but I knew it was going to be a really good game. Just physically, both those teams were going to go at it.
And the end of it was playing out almost identical to how the Bison game played out, wasn't it? How what Illinois State was doing was almost exactly what happened to you guys.
It was funny because I saw your tweet on it of just like total plays and some of that stuff. I mean, I tell you what, Illinois State on offense, that quarterback's a really good player and manages the game really well, that they were able to kind of slow it down. And that's exactly what, Coach Spack was kind of trying to put his hat on and stuff. And they did a really good job just executing their plans in both those games.
We had Gio here. Grant was here before Christmas, and I asked him if he had gone back and watched, and he said he had a couple times. Have you gone back and watched the Illinois State game? And if so, what stood out to you when you watched it again?
Yeah, I watched it right away on Sunday, right after the game, and then kind of we're watching cut-ups. So you kind of see maybe not the game in entirety again, but just some plays. But defensively, you saw, the good plays. You saw some of the ugly play. I know there's always 2 to 3 plays a game that you're like, man, I wish I really had some of that stuff back that you could have coached different or maybe had a better perspective on. But like I said, man, they had some veteran, older guys that just did a good job staying with the fight, and you got to give them credit too.
Have you ever been a part of a game that bizarre, ever?
Unfortunately, on the other side of it, I was part of K-State, Iowa State. We played in the snow, if you remember that game.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And it was completely flipped. Defensively, I think we played like 35 snaps and gave up 49 points or something just crazy that you're sitting on the sideline going, what in the heck is going on? It's unfortunately part of some of those games where it doesn't feel surreal at the time.
When you're seeing how the game's playing out, I mean, up in the box, how helpless of a feeling is that up there?
Especially up in the press box, yes, because you're not looking in the guy's eyes and like, guys, we're right in it, we're right in the fight. But at the same time, you're kind of distracted because they had some long drives and stuff like that. You're trying to filter, all right, what are they truly doing on base downs? What are they doing in different situations? So, and it was tough at times because some of those transitions were quick, but like I said, you got to give them some credit for executing just as much.
It was such a odd football game. I think still for those that watched it or were there are going to have a hard time even a year, 2 years from now wrapping their minds around how that game played out.
Yeah, and that's like Coach P said it right in his press conference. For us, we can't sit there and stir on it, the whole offseason. Yep, it's going to motivate our guys. I don't think we have to communicate or say it anymore, but you got to learn from it and keep putting your next foot forward.
How different was it to go back to work Monday, Tuesday, the following week, like not preparing for a football game?
Yeah, it's like when you talk to these high school recruits, like the first week they're off, right when their season ends or state championships ends. You're missing something, and especially in the morning, it probably hit us more as coaches of, all right, we're not game planning. But especially seeing some of our guys, and they're like, Coach, this is weird that we're not practicing, that we're not doing meetings and stuff. So
when the holiday break comes and ends, it obviously you're not oblivious to what's going to go on. When you saw a handful of the guys decide that they were going to leave, what was your reaction on finding out some of these guys are going to enter the portal?
Yeah, really it happened a lot more when we got through Christmas.
Yes.
So, leading up to Christmas, we were kind of talking to guys and kind of probably had an idea of the guys that were on the fence and stuff that you kind of hearing their reasons. And anymore, you're really talking to the guys that are coming back, man, all right, here's our plan, kind of detailing that out. So it was probably a lot more, for me, my room, it probably wasn't as big of a deal versus some others that I probably wasn't in the fire of it, but still worried about it,
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at, too, the other side of it, where the social media campaign, where 80 some odd guys are going to announce that, and I know some probably rolled their eyes, but that's where we're at now, right? That I think it's not necessarily only for your peace of mind to know if a player's coming back, but for the fans as well. Let them know that this guy's going to be part of the team in 2026.
Yeah. I mean, it is for the fans' perspective a little bit, too. So, I mean, all the time we go to basketball games, we're at the grocery store, and people are like, hey, who's coming back? Is this guy? So it's probably a little bit from that, but it is a little bit help us out just from Coach P's standpoint, the coordinator standpoint of roster management as we're in 2026.
Were you in the safeties room? How worried were you of any of your guys potentially being poached?
I mean, I'd feel like I have a really good relationship with a lot of the guys that if some of this stuff was going to happen, that it's an honest conversation. Like we're saying, we're not dumb to know that this isn't out there. It is out there. But I had really good meetings right after the week. So, I mean, that was what we kind of built our time right after. And a lot of guys were really hungry and just had a bad taste in their mouth and knew that they could do a little bit more and had a lot more to prove.
Let me talk about a couple of the guys. Darius Givens being back, I think, is a monster deal. I don't know if he necessarily gets enough credit for what kind of player he is. You've coached him now for the last 2 years. Tell me about where you've seen the elevation of his game over the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's an understatement to see how much he's grown. Yeah. You know, from being thrown into the fire his first year of starting. I know he was a dude on special teams and that stuff the year before, but
first game was against Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders.
Exactly. And it was his first time to really get meaningful reps and stuff. And the one thing I appreciate about Darius is good, bad, or ugly, he's going to tell you, hey, it was my fault. He's going to take blame, whether it was or wasn't. And I think that's one of the other things that's undervalued of him. His energy and his leadership is contagious. Yeah. Like, he enjoys practicing. He's going to bring kind of that mentality. And I think that shows. I mean, he's a physical dude. So if you're not physical in practice, you're not physical in a game. He's going to be the guy holding the standard just as much.
Was that targeting in the game? Did you think that was a target when he got it?
I'm a defensive guy, so I'm always going
right?
I mean, there's a couple plays. I know we're the guy tackling and we're getting hit. And I'm like, now Coach B doesn't want to hear about offensive targeting on that stuff. But
that's a big deal to have him back. I thought... And I think you and I talked when Taylor Needy got to Fargo, like what kind of player he potentially could be. And, boy, that has certainly played out because I thought the last 7-8 games of this past season, he might have been your best defender personally. That's just my 2 cents.
It's a really good kind of yin and yang between him and Crumby because they both bring kind of some different things to the table. And same thing, they both kind of have a little crap to them that they want to get a little bit of aggression out on Saturdays and stuff. But it's just impressive how mature he is as a young guy. And he kind of went through a roller coaster a little bit of him figuring out his confidence. But you could tell by the end of the year it was a different look in his eye and different kind of approach.
Yeah, he had 3 picks the last 3 games of the season. How much, too, he didn't sit out a ton of fall camp with the injury. But, man, I remember talking to you the second week of camp, like, this could be bad. Like, you didn't know if you were going to have him at all this season.
It's always one of those things you got rolled up just the wrong way that you have to wait on all your test results to come back. But I mean, prior to that, you could tell he was just a lot more comfortable with our defense, and it was a lot more playing and not like, oh, man, is Coach Klieman thinking I'm wrong here? It was just a different confidence, and that's just part of the developmental process. Every young guy goes through that.
There's a guy I want to talk about that I think might play more. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Will Stile is a guy that's been an ace on special teams. Yeah. Is he going to play more? Can he play more in 2026? You got all these guys back.
Yeah, I mean, that's the challenge. That's a good challenge for me of, all right, we got to find a role for you and get you on the field, and I think – and every one of those guys in my exit meetings, that was my thing. You got to make my life hard and saying there's no way I can keep you off the field. You know, I think that's kind of the next step getting into spring ball and fall camp for some of these guys on the horizon of Will Stile, Jalen Archibald, some guys that did get some time of, all right, you got to make us as an entirety as coaches saying, all right, we got to get you on the field in whatever package it might be.
You have some accolades I want to chat about. You've been named the AFCA under 35 coach there. Describe, A, when you found out, and B, what's that mean for you? You're just starting off in the profession, and now you're getting recognized nationally for this.
Yeah, it's always been fun kind of hearing from other people that have been on it too, like Coach Olson being on it last year and stuff. So I'm excited to go out there this weekend and kind of have some of those different clinic talks that they have a little bit more on the organization piece and how you have foundation pieces, not just all X's and O's. And I think that's sometimes some of the stuff that gets overlooked. But other than that, it was fun. Other than I got a lot of crap from a lot of the other coaches. Obviously, all older than me, so that's what they got to give me crap, but I got to dish it right back on the age range right there.
And that's this coming weekend?
That's this weekend.
And where's that at?
That's in Charlotte.
All right, in Charlotte. Okay.
Do that on Monday.
And that's right before the actual convention that's going on, or is that until next week?
That's all kind of tied in.
Okay.
Truly, the football side. I think the NCAA convention has a second one or something like that.
So how much is that also? What you got? Not a networking kind of deal, and just to put some other routes out there that you can do that this weekend.
Honestly, I think it's getting a little bit harder with the window that we're in.
Yeah.
That a lot of people are still thinking about transfers and visits and stuff like that. So I know just talking to people, that's kind of been a loop in it, because I think they're changing kind of what month they're doing it next year. But it's always good, because as football coaches, your calendar's crazy and you only get so many weeks off. It's like, am I going to go travel and visit my buddy, or you can hang out with family?
How bad is the calendar right now? If you could fix it, like Saban was talking about on game day, and I'm a proponent of this, that you move the portal till the end of April, right? That's your free agency period. Then you have spring practice in June and July, and then start in August. Would that help?
The one thing I'll give them props and credit for is they're trying to fix it. And it's like, you don't really know until you're in it. So now we're in this cycle and people are kind of complaining about it. Well, I'm sure there's going to be goods, bads, and uglies of that. So I guess no one really has a great answer on it, other than it's slowly trending in the right direction, right?
It's not as bad as last year in terms of portal stuff.
Yes.
I would say that. So that's a positive.
Yeah.
The early signing period, I remember talking to your dad about this when that came about, and that became the signing day. What if we move that back to February? Would that help?
I think it's the same thing. It probably helps a little bit roster management, but then on the other side, for like us, we'd still want a high school recruit, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
Yep.
So then does that make high school recruiting even more chaotic? It's kind of, you could go back and forth on all this stuff. So
see, I was a favor. I talked to Tim about this. If they put the signing period in the summer, right? So because there are guys, you recruit guys like, hey, I would sign now.
Yep.
I'm ready to go, but you still have to wait another 6 months. If a guy commits in June, you still have to wait to December. If you had it in July, that would
Then
you're
now you know
worried
what
about
you're
coaching
doing.
the team, right? I mean, then you don't have to worry about that stuff. That I think would help as well.
You're closer to that.
Look, we're solving everything here.
You need to call the guy down south. He's got a lot more time on his hand to figure out these problems.
I was going to ask you about that. We got a chance, obviously, to have him on our pregame show, and that was just a couple days after the announcement. And you and I talked that week. What was that week like, talking with your dad that he's going to do this?
Yeah, it was something I kind of always knew was closer than it was further away, especially with what he was dealing with on a day-to-day basis. It changed kind of what he was looking for and why he got into coaching. I mean, that was kind of the hardest part. For me, I kind of knew what's going on. I'm young enough. I got to evolve. I got to do all this stuff.
You did it with open eyes. You got into this.
So,
right?
I mean, you got to embrace it with open arms and understand what's going on that. But it was a weird week, because that's all I've ever known is going up to practice and him being in the day-to-day grind. And that's going to be a little bit different for me, just calling him, because he was going through the same week. So it's like, all right, we're not going to talk till Thursday, because those hours are just crucial in the course of a game plan. So it was an interesting week of emotions as well. And then on top of that, my sister got engaged on Friday. So we had all sorts of stuff going on in the Klieman family a little bit.
That's awesome. That's crazy. What was it like to have him up here? I know the game obviously didn't turn out the way you wanted, but what was it like to have him here when you're coaching?
Same thing. I'm up in the box, so I probably didn't see him as much. I know he was probably giving Coach P a little bit more grief, so I don't know if it was keeping him calm or what, but I think he enjoyed just kind of truly being around and not having to worry about the stress of, it's not his stress of game plan. How am I going to react in these situations? So I know he was kind of to a stage where after the game, he's like, no, it didn't end up the way he goes, but I kind of enjoyed just watching the game and being a fan and not being in the thick of it.
How different is it going to be for your family? This is all you've ever known.
Yep.
When August comes around and he's going to have his feet up.
Well, I'm going to wait about 2 more weeks and see how my mom's reacting to this, because it's a lot more hanging out. They got to get some golf going a little bit more. They got to get the golf swing greased up.
He's gonna be around way too much to get him out of the house.
Yeah. I think he's going to get his football fix of being around some places in the spring and fall camp. I know he doesn't want to be in it day to day, but just being around it enough. Probably kind of like Coach Hedberg's done a little bit since he's been done, but I'm sure he'll have plenty. Hopefully not too many suggestions after watching our games.
You got a couple more minutes here?
Yeah,
all right,
absolutely.
We'll break. We come back. Much more with Devin Klieman will join us here as we'll wrap up Bison Media Zone on this Wednesday morning. We'll do that other side of the break. Back after this on WDAY Extra, Inforum.com, right after this. All right, just a couple minutes left here on the Bison Media Zone here on this Wednesday morning. Great to have Devin Klieman back with us. We're chatting. We fixed college football there in the break. How often do you go back and play your pick six you had at Shanley? We had that. We televised. I called that game.
Zero times.
Come on.
Zero
Are you
times.
serious?
Yep.
You could show it to your guys. You had some speed, man.
I could. That's definitely not going to be me. But thanks for putting that out in the air, because now these guys are going to either be looking it
I
up,
will
everything.
Send it so you can plaster that out there.
Oh, boy.
Lewis Walker is hired last week as the cornerbacks coach. What do you know about Lou and now working with him intimately going forward?
I'm excited. So Lewis was a part of my interview process kind of throughout that winter. Before he left. So I said, hey, we got to work for a little bit longer than like 2 or 3 weeks. And he's like, I got you, man. So great dude. He's been easy to work with so far. Awesome. And excited to kind of build that relationship.
The fact that he has defensive coordinating experience, how big a deal is that for you guys on the back end of the defense?
Yeah. It always helps when you have some guys that can see it from the full perspective, you know. Between him, Gio, Cody, I mean, we can all kind of, obviously Carl playing linebacker. I mean, everyone kind of sees it from the full perspective. So that always helps when you bring up an idea of like, all right, hey, I know this idea is coming up, but it might affect the will linebacker. All right, we can do that with his rules, or we can't. You know, speeds up your efficiency.
Do you need a break from football? Like, I don't want to talk about football or think about it. Are you in that time like I love it, I can't get enough of it?
When I'm in it, like, I'm where my feet are. When I'm up at the office, let's go football. I think it's always good for me, mentally, physically, everything, to kind of get away. You know, and you have your certain stages of that. Yeah. Obviously, in the summer, it's probably a little bit more golf. I'm not necessarily doing that right now, but it's always good to step away just a little bit and kind of recharge.
Cardinals going to be any good in 2026?
Probably not.
Thanks for giving us, by the way, your best pitcher. We ruined him. That was awesome. That was great. Thanks for that.
We're just trading that off with the Mets and the Cubs, I guess. That's who we kind of get rid of. But no, I talk to Easton about this all the time. We got to stop signing some 38-year-old that's on the last leg and thinking this.
It's odd. I mean, I think I saw on a Reddit article that the Cardinals had their worst attendance they had they've been not very good. Now people aren't going, which I never would have imagined that for St. Louis Cardinals baseball ever.
The funny story about that, because 100% was the worst attendance in Busch Stadium 3 history. Yeah. Well, it was funny because my brother was at the game. He was like, isn't this awesome? And it was before that came out. I go, hey, congrats. You're part of the worst attended St. Louis Cardinals game. Only on par for him.
You could shoot a cannon through there. And
oh, man. And he's not a gigantic baseball fan, so he thought it was really funny that he was out there for that.
Was baseball ever an option, or was it always football for you?
So I loved baseball, especially growing up in Iowa. It's a pretty big deal.
Right.
I kind of came up here in the winter. It was a tough season. I don't know, North Dakota high school, when they try to do it in March.
Correct.
I'm like, hey, playing in the gym till May isn't necessarily. Looking back, I do regret not playing high school baseball and stuff. Yeah. But I know that was one thing. My dad loved baseball, and he was upset that I didn't go through with it.
Yeah, because Iowa baseball, that's the big in the summer.
It's in the summer,
right?
In the summer. Yeah, a lot different.
It's great to have you here, man. Thanks so much for making time. Have a good couple weeks of off season, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Appreciate you.
Devin Klieman joining us here in studio on the Bison Media Zone on this Wednesday. We do it each and every Wednesday at 10:30 on WDAY Extra. Looking forward to see what the Bison football team does. Adds a few more transfers potentially coming up down the pipe. Thanks for joining us, man. Thanks for everybody watching as well. We'll see you next Wednesday, 10:35 on WDAY Extra.